Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're going to run through a data refresh, so unlocking insights and maximising value. So really excited to have you all here with us. So my name's Emma Black. I'm the operations manager for Black Box, and I'd like to introduce our two incredible speakers. So we've got Edwina Warby, who's our senior client manager based down in Holbrook in southern New South Wales, and Lucy McGilvray, our client manager, who's based up at Injune in Queensland. So before we get into the good stuff, just a little bit of housekeeping. Please feel free tonight to send through any questions that you may have. As you can see on the screen, there's a little Q&A button down the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions throughout, just click on that and type them in. There's no such thing as a silly question. No one else can see your question except for us. So tonight's all about learning. So please make sure you send through anything on there that you want to cover or that we may not have explained really clearly. So what are we going to discuss tonight? It's really focused on a black box refresher. So we've got quite a lot of current customers joining us tonight. So we'll be running through some of those tools that are on the system to help you really draw insights and make decisions from your data. For those of you that might be new to Black Box, it's really about exposing to you some examples of how the information can be used and what kind of insights we can pull out of it to get an indication of how you might be able to use it within your business. We're going to look at wrapping up end of financial year data and using that for ongoing decisions. We're going to look at some existing tools that are available now, but also work through some really cool new features that we've recently put out and provide a few top tips that we've found in crush side data and getting a crush side device set up to make the data collection as seamless as possible, but also make sure that you are collecting the data to get the information that you need out of it further down the chain. So for those of you that are new to Black Box, you might be wondering exactly what we're all about. But Black Box is a platform that pulls together information from multiple different sources and turns it into insights for your business. So how do we achieve that? We ingest the data from the crush side systems that are already being used within your business. So for example, Gallagher, TrueTest, Stockbook, and many others, as you can see on the slide there, as well as feedlot feedback and carcass feedback information. So as producers, you do not have to do anything with your data. We pull it in its raw form, link it all together, and then display it in visual interactive dashboards from which you can see all of the insights. So depending on your business, you may choose to use just one aspect of that information. For example, carcass data or feedlot feedback data, if you're not collecting a lot of on-farm information yet. Or it may be at the other end where you want to pull everything from genomics right through to carcass information and whole of life data together. So the system can really be set up for what you want to achieve. I think most importantly, you can extract actionable insights out of that information, generate reports and push like draft lists back down to your crush side device. So it really allows you to create actions on the ground. We know that like there's a large upfront cost to set yourself up to collect crush side data. So Black Box is a lever to use that information within your business to enable you to really utilize it and drive your business forward. So tonight we're really going to focus on that last step, on showing you how to generate the insights and use the data to make decisions across all levels of your business. So I'll now hand over to our first speaker, Edwina, to dig into some examples.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, guys. I know it's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I did get asked the question today whether someone will be seen having a beer. So the answer is no, you're allowed to have a beer behind the screen. But as Em said, we're keen to just touch on a few tips that we've been getting a lot of questions around at this time of year. So I'm going to start off with what we call our growing performance dashboard. So this answers questions like, what steers have we turned off for the year? What was our average sale weight? What was our average sale price? Things like that. What was our ADG between different breeds? What was our ADG between different sires? So this is looking back at the animals once they've exited. So a few important things to note. Make sure you've got all your sale files up to date. So any feedlot inductions, NLAS transfers, any carcass files. Obviously, those carcass files create an automatic exit. So before you go looking at your numbers for a particular period of time, make sure all of that data is up to date. So this has been particularly popular for people who are wanting to provide reports to the bank. They have put together a report of different screenshots of what they want to show, how efficient they are, what their average gross margins are. It's also been really popular using this growing performance dashboard, both in its summarized format, but also exporting into Excel to then feed into, say, carbon reporting, or if they're wanting to put into other financial systems to look at their livestock performance data. So this dashboard can then obviously be linked to the other dashboards that you're using, so carcass, feedback, things like that. So that's all for animals that have been turned off. You want to focus on your growing performance dashboard. Whereas animals that are still on, oh, sorry, I skipped one. Sorry, I'm on the filters. So something that we've been asked a lot lately is how I might filter down on a particular sex. So say just the heifers that were turned off, or just the cull cows that we sent, or just my steers. Or what numbers did we sell per property. So along the top of each of your dashboards, don't be afraid to click on any of these buttons or exit date filters. So here's where you can select different properties, or you can select different sexes. And same with that exit date filter. So that's really important when you're wanting to look at different time periods. So you might want to look at just what you've turned off in the last month. I've had a few trade clients that are looking at what they've sold in the last month to look at their average sale price to decide what they can spend when they're going to the sale yards this week to purchase animals at a particular margin. So you'll also notice that there's a status, and any animals that are recorded as dead, so either in your crush side systems or on the NLAS database, this is where you can toggle on that status to view animals that have been recorded as dead. Another thing to note, and it's probably more relevant for some of our northern operations who like to dismiss animals that haven't been seen for 24 months. So this is a good tool to click onto that recorded deaths to see what hasn't been seen for 24 months. And then you can export that to look into those animals further. So I think that's all on that slide, M. What I got excited about before was growing management. So this is looking at animals that are still active on farm. So if you want to pull numbers of what steers you have on farm compared to heifers, what F1s you have compared to full bloods, what Santa heifers you have compared to Angus heifers. These are all common questions that people are trying to answer, as well as maybe, what animals have I bought in and what was their average purchase weight, using this predicted weights table down the bottom. So just a tip, if you're looking at animals that are still currently on farm, go to growing management to look at those numbers and their current ADG weight gains. Again, don't be afraid to click on any of the filters or the dates. Top left, there's two little red filter bars. One's a chart manager where you can turn charts on and off, and the other one's where you can filter by paddocks or breeds or things like that. We often get asked the question, can I break anything? Or what if I press on this? You can't break anything. So Don't be afraid to sort of feel your way around, and you'll come across probably some interesting insights along the way. So I just wanted to share on a few custom reports that we've been doing and what people are actually utilizing their data and dashboards for. So we have been helping clients with custom reporting so they can pull all of their data together in a spreadsheet format like this, focusing on a few key traits. So for example, number of progeny that actually have carcass data, average marbling results, average carcass results, EMA, ADG. So this particular example is someone who is DNA verifying and has the sires. We have done other examples where it's just at a breed level or sale yard performance. It really depends what key traits that you want to focus on. So Em, I might just jump across to the dashboards to show some examples.
Yep, I might just pause there for a second. We've got one question that's come in through the Q&A. So just a reminder to click on Q&A and type anything in. There's a question here, Edwina, on how do we get the sire information into Black Box?
Okay, so there's a few different ways. Those that are DNA verifying or genomic testing through Neogen or the likes, it usually comes back in an Excel format. And as long as you have the EID and the sire, you can import that data into Black Box. Others are just recording it in their True Test or Gallagher or Stockbook. A lot of our Stockbook clients, that's already in your crush side system. So it's just a case of when you import that data through the imports page as your standard process, that sire information will flow through. If sire and dam is not already turned on your dashboards, it's just an add-on feature. So just reach out to your client manager and they can help you with that. So I'll just show you a few quick examples live on the dashboard. So for instance, before when we were talking about the sire performance, what they might be looking at is on the feedlot feedback, selecting those higher marbling animals, adding them to a list so that you get their visual tag and EID. And something to highlight here, we get a lot of questions from current clients around this list. So this is your tool to be able to go between dashboards looking at a certain mob of animals. So for instance, here we've just selected highest marbling. So if I add, I've added those animals to my list. So if you hover over any of these buttons, it will tell you what to do. Or what they do. So for instance, here we've just added, if I go back up to reports and go to growing performance, so this takes it back to the on-farm data, you can then filter by just those animals. So you'll see that majority of them were by A684. Same way you might want to start with a particular breed, or you might want to start with a particular sire, you might want to start with a particular age bracket. Make that selection on this dashboard, add it to your list, and then change back to your feedlot feedback. Similarly, you can change back to, I just need to move my Zoom out of the way, sorry guys. Move back to MSA. So say if you want to see just your highest marbling animals from your raw carcass data, or you might want to see what didn't grade MSA. So this list builder is your tool to do that. You can come onto MSA and choose just the ones that didn't grade and make that selection of animals to see what they were. I'll just pause there if there's any questions, Em. Otherwise, we'll jump onto a bit of a change of tune and cover the herd inventory stuff.
Yep, so we've got one question just in relation to the sire information. They've asked what other analytical examples are available in that sire performance platform. So I think linking back to those custom reports.
Okay, so it really depends, and feel free to jump in here, Lucy and Em, to answer this question, but it really depends what traits you want to focus on. So some are more focused on the growing ADG on farm, so looking at sires progeny's performance on farm. Same way, they also might want to look at fertility, so preg test percentages and things like that. So if I just change to an example that might have sire and dam, no, I don't have one up, but just imagine that it would be another chart with sire and dam where you could actually view preg test performance by those progeny as well. So does that answer the question? Feel free to add to that as well.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think it's my understanding of that question is it's really a customized report. So it's working with you to know what you want to generate out of that report. But certainly if you'd like some more information or examples, reach out and we can provide that as well.
And I think something that's important there, is pretty much if you're collecting the data, it will be coming into Blackbox in some way, and we can then extract that and help you with insights on that. So as long as it's being collected, yeah, and we're happy to give you some guidance on how we suggest that to be collected as well, so that it does flow through easily. So I just wanted to touch quickly on herd inventory. This has probably been the most popular area of phone calls in the last few weeks, around how these numbers are calculated, how people can use these for, say, helping out with pick recs, and certain questions, I guess, around the numbers. So I just wanted to highlight here, if you hover over any of the question marks on these headings, it will actually tell you how we're finding that number. So the biggest thing I get is the numbers don't add up down the bottom. So they're actually not supposed to. It's not a sum of opening count plus entries minus exits, carcasses, and closing stock, gives you closing stock. It's actually based off the data that you're telling the system. So closing count is number of animals that have been active in the last 18 months that don't have an exit or a carcass. So if you haven't uploaded a sale file or an NLIS transfer file or a death status for that animal, and it's been seen in the last 18 months, that's how it will show up in this closing count. So another thing to really highlight is this number will be showing any animals that have just been scanned. They don't actually need a weight. You will know that on our other dashboards, they do need a weight to show up. So this dashboard, they literally just need to be seen in the crush side or scanned by the crush side. So that will give you an active list of animals, and that broken down by sex and date of birth. So common questions we get is, you know, how many breeders do I have and what age are they? So things like that. A better example might be another demo property where you can see that there's breeders that are 24 years old. So we've got closing stock numbers there, and the opening stock is exactly the same. So it's counting 18 months back from this start date that you select up here. Births are anything that's been born on your property, so has a date of birth during that time period on the property. So I won't dive into that too much. Feel free to reach out to us if you're still getting confused on this herd inventory. But something I did want to highlight is you can export it into Excel. So particularly the cow data, I've had clients use this to help with pick recs. So anything that's still active and has a close in the closing stock count, it will break it down by individual EIDs. And they've then been able to upload those EIDs to assist with pick recs. So that just wanted to touch quickly on herd inventory. Just one more thing on that is if you then want to break down, say your females, what might have been pregnant for the year or empty, that's when you would then go to fertility and break down by, okay, what are my numbers that are empty? So these are the culls for the year versus pregnants for the year. Yeah, so I think that's all on that side of things. If there's no more questions, I'll hand over to our next exciting speaker.
Yeah, for sure. I've got one example here. One question here. They're asking, are you able to pull certain select paternal and maternal sires or dams in a multi-generational basis on terminal attributes? So for example, marble score, eye muscle area, and carcass weight.
As in selecting multiple traits. So we can't go back past, like we can't go to Grand Dam and Sire. We can only go to direct Sire and Dam. And you can select on multiple traits, but I would need an expert to answer that for you, I think. Not me.
I think my understanding of the question is, well, at Black Box at the moment, you can select a sire and see all of their linked progeny, and then all of those traits for those progeny from that particular sire, but we're not going back another step. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, Edwina. I'm now going to hand over to Lucy to run through some of the cool features on Black Box to help you generate some of these insights.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for coming online. A big part of what we do is, and what we enjoy doing, is working with you to achieve your production goals. We often find this is a bit of a journey of working out what opportunities of improved insights we can allow for your business. For many of our clients, the question of what they want to work on isn't yet obvious. So our job is to help you through this process. So let's run through an example on the screen. Say we wanted to focus on identifying our high-performing weight for age animals. We then need to look at what data we need to collect on farm to help make these decisions. So in this case, we'd be looking at weight and date of birth. Our end goal is collecting data that can allow you to make better decisions and better educated decisions, such as highlighted in those bubbles on the right. So using weight for age as an example there, we might be able to cull underperforming cattle early, or identifying sires of high-performing animals. It's important to note that these objectives do change a lot for clients as they go through. So we recommend starting simple and working your way through possibilities as we get going. We work constantly with you guys on client feedback to ensure our system's utilization is as easy as possible. Off the back of wanting to improve the import process, one of our more recent steps is the development of an email reader system, which essentially allows automatic imports from key abattoirs such as Tees and JBS. A reminder that we also have other tools like Dropbox if you're trying to drop a large amount of files all at once. And also don't forget about the ability to automatically bring in Gallagher and Optiway data. The other key feature that we wanted to delve into, other than the list builder that Edwina discussed earlier, is our life data view. So how we view this is to select an EID in that list builder. And what we'll get is a little report like the one seen on the right, which basically shows any data point we have on the animal and all their lifetime history. This is pretty useful for audits, especially in the organic space, understanding their history and troubleshooting data. It's been a great tool that a lot of current clients have utilized. Now, this is all great in theory, but we see a lot of common errors that occur along the way, one of which is life data versus trait and differentiating between the different types of collected crush side data. It's really important to understand this difference, life data being fields that don't change over the course of the animal's life, such as date of birth, sex, breed, and sire. Traits are more current and at a point of time, which would be your likes of weight, preg test, wet and dry. We do see preg test a lot as a problem point. So just something to be wary of as you are collecting crush side. The second is related to what I discussed earlier and regarding the importance of consistent data collection. So an example is displayed on the screen whereby data points were skipped or not collected properly, and this then implicates the insights we're able to draw. So for example, if we look at, say, calling 30% wet and 60% dry, then we're looking at 20% room for error in the insights we draw from that. So an objective of ours is to ensure the whole process is as seamless as possible. So let's jump into solutions. Now that we've looked at what we can identify, what data we want to collect and what features can make things easier and common mistakes we see, these are some of the solutions that we have. We're huge advocates of preset templates. So when it comes to preparing for the crush side data collection, It can save you guys a lot of serious time, arguments, and hassle, especially when it comes to changed crush side operators. We suggest setting up these templates for different processing events, for example, pre-testing, induction, weighing. And this is something we can really easily assist and provide support on if you guys just want to get in touch. Our next one is setting up some recurring traits. So this is within the templates or sessions. And what this is basically preset. So each animal that comes on, so say you are running through a mob of weaner heifers, you could have these set to heifers, and basically every EID that's scanned is then allocated to heifers. It just saves the hassle of going in and selecting the trait each time. This is a really key solution to improve that inconsistent data collection that we find, and is saving people a lot of time and energy. Lastly, we wanted to talk about session names and the power of it. We can see save an enormous hassle down the road for the inputters, and just providing an easy reference point and updates for tracking. We suggest including your paddock, your processing type, and your date in those session files, just to make it all seamless later down. And although this all may be a lot of information, don't fear. We do have a little quick step guide that we'll be shooting across into your inboxes after the webinar. So we look forward to sharing that with you guys. And as always, we're always here to help. So please reach out if you have any other questions.
Thanks, Luce. Just one question that's come through in regards to the templates. It's just about what crush side systems are we able to set up templates for?
Yes, so we predominantly work with TrueTest and Gallagher with the templates side of things. With TrueTest, we're able to send templates via email to you that you are then able to upload onto your device. On the other hand, we are able just to assist with that. With Gallagher, we are required to create the templates on each device. However, if you do purchase a new device through us, we can preset the templates for you. Otherwise, older devices, we can step you through this process. And a big part of that too is what I spoke about earlier, and just gathering insight on what traits we want to collect and shaping those templates around that.
Awesome. Thanks, Louise. If anyone else has got any questions, please just type them in now. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. I think it's really wonderful to see how taking a couple of steps early on in setting up your crush side device can really, or optimizing your crush side device in the early days can make such a big difference in the data you're collecting, and make sure you can get the right insights out of it for your business further down the line. Having that ability to drill into the data and create really powerful insights, I think it's creating such big opportunity now to pull that information out, and you work so hard to collect that data. So we want to enable you to make those decisions from it at all levels of your business. So as Lou said, like, we know we've covered a lot tonight, and we know there's quite a few steps to generate some of those insights and reports, and it's not always easy to remember. So we will be sending out the recording of the webinar and a few quick step guides as well after tonight. So there's just a question come through. How do I produce a sale file that includes sale weight and price? Let's throw that one over to you, Edwina.
Yep. Let me just share my screen really quickly because I ran through this with the client today as well. So on your imports page, you actually at the bottom, there's some blue text at the bottom of your imports page when you go to new import. So it will actually show 3 types of templates. One is a purchase, one is a sale, and one is a cattle data template. So don't worry about the cattle data template. I think most of you are using crush side machines. That's just for people who are using pen and paper that wanted to still use black box. Whereas the purchase and sale, if you download those, that will give you an Excel or a CSV format, which tells you what headings to put the data under. So for instance, you get EID, a date, a sale price, dollars per kilo or dollars per head, or you can use both. And then there's the option to add in breed, weight, sex information as well. So as long as you have the EID and the date and sale price or purchase price, that will work. And then the rest is optional data. But we can easily flick you through a template as well if you need to get an idea of that. Without confusing you too much, some people also add it in as a field in Gallagher or True Test, so that when they're processing, say, steers for sale, they might put like sold or a price in there as well. Probably easier to do it from an induction from a feedlot or something like that. Yeah.
Just on that as well, we are able to bring in sale yard data quite often, depending on the sale yard and its system. But yeah, that is also an option to bring in those files.
Awesome. So I think that's the end of the questions. So thank you all very much for joining us on a Wednesday night, and thank you to Edwina and Lucy for that awesome overview. So as we said, like, our team's always here to support you. We're only a phone call away, so please don't be afraid to reach out, and we'll catch up with you all soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.